Are you looking to grow your dental practice and attract top-tier new patients? Discover the potential of digital marketing with a personalized strategy session. Join Lila Stone, the marketing director at Equa, for an exclusive 90-minute consultation. Lila and her team will dedicate 6 hours before your meeting to create a customized marketing plan specifically for your practice. This valuable opportunity is free of charge and comes with no commitments. Visit www.insuranceuntangledorg/MSM to schedule your meeting with Lila today. You'll also receive a free analysis report so you can start transforming your practice through the power of digital marketing.
You are now listening to another episode of the Insurance Untangled podcast, where we explore the various challenges faced by dental practices due to their reliance on insurance. Join us in this podcast as we dive deep into the issues surrounding dental insurance dependence and offer practical solutions and strategies to help you take control of your practice's financial future.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Insurance Untangled podcast. My name is Ben Tuinei, and I'm one of the co-hosts of this podcast that's dedicated to helping practices that are tangled up with insurance. We talk about all things insurance, marketing, topics that help you take more control of your practice, and more so in an effort to create a bigger, better, brighter future for you, your team members, and of course, your patients. Today, I have my good friend Naren with us. Naren, how are you?
I'm doing great, Ben. I'm really looking forward to our conversation today.
Yeah, likewise. Love the conversation that we had last time, and looks like we're going to build on that today in the sense that we're going to be talking about 5 metrics you want to master in 2025. So let's dive right into it.
Why don't I list the 5 and then you can ask me about each one?
Perfect. Let's do that.
Yeah, the first one is Google reviews. And so that's how many Google reviews are you getting every single month? And that's the first one. Second one is hygiene occupancy, which is think of hotel occupancy, airline occupancy. Let's say you have 100 rooms and only 75% of your rooms are booked for the night. The other 25%, you lose revenue on them, right? Like you can't go back in time and get the money back. It's gone, right? Same thing with hygiene, right? You have a team member standing there waiting to see patients. Let's say she can see 7 patients and she only ends up seeing 5. You still have to pay her for the whole 7 hours. So you lost it. So not only do you lose it, in terms of like you can't make the money back, but you're also incurring costs. Same thing with hotels. Hotel has running costs, so does airlines. If the seat is empty or not, or the room is empty or not, you still have to incur those costs. So that's hygiene occupancy. So you want to make sure that the percentage of hygiene bookings that are actually getting filled versus not filled is very high. Third one is, again, I'm going to give credit for Gary on this, and we'll put a link to that later on. Third one is, how many keywords you want ranking on page 1 of Google. And I'll explain why this is an important goal. And then the fourth goal, which we alluded to in our last episode on marketing, last episode where I was the host, is doctor production. So we'll expand on that. What is it, and how do we really, work on it, and why is it important for us to work on it? And last but not least, conversion rate. This is the percentage of people who end up booking an appointment of the new patients who are calling you. So let's say 100 new patients call you, and only 30 book a new patient appointment with you. That conversion rate is 30%. Not too great because the other 70 did not book.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So those are the 5 different metrics that you want to master in 2025. I guess the question I have, Naren, with regards to each of these 5 areas is, how should you? Well, maybe we start with Google reviews. As a metrics, what should you be focusing on and looking at here?
Yeah, so I think a simple metric every practice should start with is try to get 10 reviews or more a month. Of course, if you are a much bigger practice and you are crushing it already, then I might set it a bit higher. So the way you know how well you're doing right now on this is go to your Google Maps page and look at the most recent reviews and literally count them. And it'll say 1 week ago, 2 weeks ago. So anything that says, less than 1 month ago what happened in the last month. So if you only have 7, then hey, 10 is definitely a doable target. Even if you have only 2 or 3, I would still set it as 10. So set a goal of 10 reviews a month. Now, this is really, really, really important because if you're getting 10 a month, that means in a year, you're getting 120. In 2 years, you're getting 240. And today, I think a practice that doesn't have hundreds of reviews is really at a disadvantage. And the other reason you want to do this is, people who are unhappy will go and write nasty things about you, whether you ask them or not. So you want to have this, because on the other hand, the happy people are not. So you want to have this goal of getting 10 reviews a month. So even if you do end up getting some negative reviews, it'll wash out. You won't really feel the impact of it. We all know that no business can please everyone. So just keeping at it, focusing on it, I think is really, really important.
Yeah, I love it. I buy things on based upon reviews all the time, and having one negative review that's totally unique, but you have a bunch of positive reviews that are consistent. It makes that negative review, it makes it positive to me. It makes it like, okay, this is a real product. Not everybody's going to be happy, but the majority of the people that are using it are very, very happy. So that's awesome there, Naren. I didn't really do the math on that. 10 a month, 120 a year. That's more than most people I know. And what they have now. What about hygiene occupancy? So you brought up an interesting concept in this, in the sense of equating that to hotel rooms and empty airplane seats. If they're empty, that's lost opportunity, including lost revenue on the expenses just to operate that chair or that bed, in a hotel room. How does that kind of, what's similar with regards to those examples to that of a dental office with an open hygiene chair? And how do we build hygiene occupancy the way that it should be?
Yeah. So, hygiene is probably the most expensive outside person you're paying on your payroll outside of yourself or the doctors. So if that time that you're paying for the hygienist is not utilized, you're losing money. So, and there's a bunch of reasons why this is important. If you're not even tracking your hygiene occupancy rate, you don't know what it is, right? So you can't fix a problem you don't know even exists. So by tracking, okay, I have, 30 hygiene let's say I'm just using round numbers. Let's say I have 100 hygiene openings in a month between all my hygiene slots. How many of those 100 actually ended up with a butt on the seat, where there was a patient out of the 100. So only let's say 85 people, showed up and did the work. That means your hygiene occupancy rate is 85%. I'm going to give credit to Gary Tackers, who's a friend of mine and someone I look up to. And he's the one who first talked about this. And he talks about it in his Thriving Dentist coaching program. And he sets a target of 92%. So he calls 92% an A. And 95% is like AAA. So you might again have a person, hygiene scheduling coordinator, whose job it is to make sure that to hit 92% occupancy. And if she gets an A, she gets $250 bonus. She's the hygiene champion. And then of course, if we get to 95%, he won't even double the bonus. So, and again, that extra, because imagine what's your alternative, right? That person didn't show up. So the extra money you make by having the person show up will more than pay for that, bonus, like 5 to 10 times more than pay for the bonus, versus you're still paying your hygienist, but now you have no money to, pay the hygienist. So here it's really, really, really good goal. To have that hygiene occupancy. Now, the reason this happens is, because it's not tracked, you don't know how good or bad you're doing. Now that you're tracking it, you know how this is going, and you can, do something about it. You can set targets, reward the person who's responsible for this. And also you will notice there are two types of patients: those who always keep their promises and show up, and then there are those who are a little bit, very hard to pin down. They usually cancel at the last minute and so forth. You will know who these patients are. The ones who are typically, after you see them for, 1 or 2 times, the ones who will keep their promises. Those ones typically are in the 90% range. So them, use auto reminders, etc., and even tell them, hey, if you're not going to make it, let us know 48 hours in advance. And again, the auto reminders could all do that. So they're all locked in, right? The 10% who are flaky, Gary calls them a VIP list. So hey, I know it's hard for you to plan in advance. Why don't I tell you? I'll put you to add you to the VIP list. Any days we have openings, we'll let you know. If you are the first one to reply, you get that spot. So any openings you end up, because there were last minute 48-hour cancellations, then you have that VIP list at any given time, and then those people fill those VIP spots. So that way, getting 92% is not that tricky. Because you do expect some cancellations, and then you have a way to fill it with people who there are some people, retirees, but perhaps people who work from home, perhaps homemakers, people who are not employed. They might be able to come and see you in a short notice because, and so definitely you can make this work.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Hygiene, occupancy, that, hygiene is what feeds the doctor production, and so setting that as a goal, I never heard it kind of coined this way, but it's genius. So that's amazing. So the third one here on the list, Naren, is it's definitely a marketing component, right? It's focusing on 100 keywords, being ranked on 100 keywords on page 1 of Google within 12 months. So it's definitely a journey to get to that point there. What are we measuring? Like what are the objectives, and what are we measuring with this 100 keywords ranked number 1 on Google?
In my last episode, a couple of weeks ago, I talked about 3 goals to set to make 2025 great, and one of the goals was to dominate Google, because if you're dominating Google, the cost of acquiring a new patient would be cents on the dollar. Instead of thousands of dollars for PPO, it'll be like $50-$60 for SEO, right? So now, how do you know you're dominating Google? That you're dominating Google if you are ranking for 100 or more keywords on page 1 of Google. What is page 1? Top 10 results. So 100 different keywords and phrases that your customers might type in. Dentist near me, veneers, zip code, whatever they're typing in. Again, you don't need to guess what these keywords are. Google Analytics will tell you what these keywords are, and it'll tell you how many people typed in each one of those phrases in the last 30 days. So if you're dominating at least 100 of these good keywords and you are in the top 10, you are in what I call the top 5% club. And there's a significance to it. Google makes, I think it made $307 billion last year, and most of it came from ads. So Google makes killing by not letting you get free traffic. So if you're in the top 5%, you're going to get all the free traffic. So it's like, the top 5% get all the money, it's just like in real life, right? The top 5% controls so much of the economy and so much of the wealth. Same way here, the top 5% in SEO get all the free traffic. So that's why that 100 keywords phrases on page 1 is really, really, really significant. So, and we have done this for a long time. I run a marketing company, and typically you should be able to do this in 12 months. If you don't have the target of dominating 100 or more keywords in 12 months, there's something missing. At the same time, I'm not going to sit here and tell you can do it in 2 weeks. No, that's not going to happen either, because there is a method to this madness, and you have to do everything that Google wants, and it does take close to a year to achieve that.
Yep, it's a journey, and it's a lot of effort from what I'm gathering from our clients that are doing it. So for those of you that kind of find that important, being able to dominate Google, it's a new patient effort, right? So that we replenish the new patients in the practice. Check out insuranceentangled.com/MSM for marketing strategy meeting. That is a standing offering that we're providing to listeners to take advantage of a complimentary marketing strategy meeting with Naren and his team. Again, insuranceentangled.com/MSM. Naren, let's hit number 4 here, doctor production. So again, this is out of the top 5 metrics that you want to master in 2005, doctor production number 4. Can you speak to this one, Naren, on what we're looking at?
Yeah, so we touched on this also in that other episode I was referring to. Doctor production is important because usually most practices, 2/3 of the revenue is going to come from doctor production. So knowing what that number is and breaking it down based on number of days you work that month, and then assigning it to somebody is really, really, really important. That way, everyone knows, as long as I'm hitting this number every day, you're going to have a good month. You don't need to just do any magic. You don't need to be this, like firefighter who goes in and saves some burning child. We shouldn't have those, moments when everything is like a fire and you're always trying to rescue and dig from under and stuff. Life should be simple and easy and stuff. So every day, you know what your target is. You start the morning huddle. You already know how much how much is already scheduled versus not, and then you discuss who can you fit in for same day dentistry. So there's a lot of things you can do to hit that number, but the most important thing is having that doctor scheduling coordinator. Again, I'll give Gary credit, and we'll put a link to thrivingdentist.com for anyone who wants to talk to Gary, just to kind of get this going, because it's such a critical part of your success. You solve this, because sometimes doctors tell me that they're working so hard, but they feel like they didn't make any money. That's because there's no number associated with how much they want to produce each day. And there's nobody responsible for that number. Again, you reward that person. They hit 100% of the goal, they get $250. They do 10% better, they get an extra $250. So you can really, really, work on this and create a culture where every year is your best year yet.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yep, that's sort of the lifeblood of the practice right there, is getting that doctor production to be as healthy as you can. So let's look at this last one here, Naren, number 5, which is conversion rate. And I'm assuming we're talking about, are we talking about call conversion rates?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, let's speak to that, because I heard a crazy statistic a few weeks ago, perhaps maybe a few months ago, that the conversion rate in dentistry for new patients is very low. Why does this land on the top 5 things for 2025 in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, if you ask most practices what keeps them up at night, they'll say new patients. At least it's in the top 1 or 2 issues. Mm-hmm. Now imagine if your practice is like the average, and you're only booking 1 out of 3, which is what the average dental practice in the US does right now, and 2 out of 3 are not booking appointments, which means they're going to your competition. The number one issue that keeps you up at night, you're only doing 33% of a good job, which means you're wasting the other 2/3. So you could be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing or other things, but all that money is getting wasted. It's like, putting $100 bills into a bonfire and just sitting there and like having a beer and watching it burn. It's not fun. So now the problem is most doctors don't know what their conversion rate is, right? Like if you don't know what the number is, how do you even know what can you do about it? So I think tracking the conversion rate, knowing what it is, and then doing something about it. So of course, number 1 step is to know what your conversion rate is. So with Equa, we now offer that part of our service to all of our clients. So everybody knows how many new patients are calling, how many are booking, and how many are not booking. Now, the ones who are crushing it, who are doing a great job in booking everyone, keep doing what you're doing. But if you need help, then start listening to those calls you didn't book. What could you do differently? And slowly but surely, like if you're at 30%, don't try to go to 80% tomorrow. Maybe get to 35%. And then, okay, what did you learn? And then go to 40%. Just keep at it. It might take a year and a half, but before you put additional money into marketing, I would fix that first, right? Because it's like a pipe. You're paying for water, and your pipe is leaky, and the water just goes to your neighbor's yard as opposed to your yard, right? And today water can be very expensive, so can new patients. So you want to make sure that conversion rate is really, really, really important. And if this was not an issue in the industry, then I wouldn't make it one of the top 5. But it is a huge issue in the industry, especially in dentistry. And so like knowing what your conversion rate is and having a mechanism to kind of continue to improve it, I think is key for success in 2025.
That's awesome, Naren. Well, there you go. There's 5 metrics that you want to master in 2025. Google reviews, hygiene, occupancy, 100 keywords ranked on page 1 of Google, doctor production, and conversion rate. These are all amazing things, Naren. Really appreciate your insights and for what you shared today. And hopefully the listeners would find it valuable. And we want to thank our listeners for joining us today on another amazing episode of the Insurance Untangled podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to share this with your friends on social media. We also appreciate your reviews because those will help other doctors find our content. So feel free to review us on your favorite podcast platform. And by the way, don't forget to check out insuranceuntangleded.com. The marketing strategy meeting link is on there as well, and other freebies, including future webinars that we will be hosting, which we do every quarter. So again, thank you for joining us today. Until next time, we wish all of you the best of success.